A goodbye we didn't realize was permanent. In the history of exploration, the most important moments are rarely the loudest. They don't arrive with fireworks or applause. They happen quietly, often unnoticed, and only later do we realize that something irreversible has occurred. In July of 2015, humanity experienced one of those moments far beyond the orbit of Neptune. A small robotic spacecraft, launched from Earth nearly a decade earlier, rushed past a frozen world that had lived in our imagination for generations. It did not slow down, it did not turn around, it did not plan to stay. It simply passed by Pluto once, collected everything it could, and continued onward into deeper darkness. What makes this encounter unusual is not the technology involved, or even the distance traveled. It is the fact that everyone involved already knew the truth before the first image arrived back on Earth. This was not the beginning of a long relationship with Pluto. It was a single, fleeting meeting. Whatever the spacecraft captured during those few hours would almost certainly become the closest views humanity would ever have of that distant world. There was no orbiter waiting, no lander planned, no return mission quietly scheduled for later decades. This was it, and as the data began to arrive, it became clear that Pluto had waited a very long time to surprise us. For most of its history, Pluto had been treated less like a place and more like a problem. Discovered in 1930, it immediately raised uncomfortable questions. Its orbit was strange, tilted and stretched in a way that did not match the orderly paths of the other planets. Its size seemed suspiciously small, and its distance made detailed observation nearly impossible. Pluto appeared as a faint point of light, its brightness changing slightly as it rotated, forcing astronomers to guess what might be happening on its surface. Entire theories were built on subtle variations in reflected sunlight. Some scientists imagined Pluto as a dead, frozen relic, unchanged since its formation. Others suspected it might be more complex, but without direct evidence, those ideas remained speculative. Even as telescopes improved, Pluto resisted clarity. The Hubble Space Telescope produced rough surface maps, but nothing resembling real detail. Pluto remained an idea rather than a destination. And so, for decades, it was debated, defended, demoted, and dismissed, often by people who had never actually seen it. Why visiting Pluto took so long? By the late 20th century, space exploration had become ambitious but selective. Missions were expected to deliver results within reasonable timeframes and budgets. Pluto did not cooperate with either requirement. It was distant, expensive, and inconvenient. A mission to Pluto would take nearly a decade just to arrive, with no guarantee of dramatic discoveries. Proposals to visit Pluto were repeatedly delayed or quietly shelved in favor of missions closer to Earth. When the New Horizons mission was finally approved, it was not because Pluto had suddenly become popular again. It was because a small group of scientists believed that leaving the outer solar system unexplored meant leaving our understanding of planetary history incomplete. New Horizons launched in January of 2006 and immediately did something fitting for its destination. It left Earth faster than any spacecraft before it, accelerating to a speed that still required almost 10 years to reach Pluto. During that journey, Pluto's status changed. It was reclassified as a dwarf planet, a decision that sparked public outrage and endless debate. Ironically, while people argued over what to call Pluto, the spacecraft continued its journey without concern for labels. New Horizons spent long stretches in hibernation, conserving power as it drifted through the emptiness between worlds. Engineers would wake it occasionally, check its systems, and then send it back to sleep. Years passed. Public interest faded. For many, the mission became background noise. But Pluto was still there, moving along its strange orbit, waiting. As New Horizons finally approached its target, expectations were cautious. Most scientists hoped Pluto would confirm existing theories. It was expected to be cold, inactive, and geologically dead. There was little reason to expect surprises. That confidence lasted only until the first detailed images began to arrive. At first, Pluto looked familiar. Light and dark regions appeared exactly where models predicted. Then, the resolution improved and something unexpected dominated the surface. A vast, bright, heart-shaped region reflected sunlight more strongly than anything around it. This was not just visually striking, it was smooth. And smoothness in planetary science is unsettling. Smooth surfaces mean youth. They mean that impact craters, which should accumulate over billions of years, are missing. As New Horizons drew closer, the picture became even more uncomfortable. The moment Pluto refused to behave, Mountains rose from Pluto's surface, some towering several kilometers high. These were not small irregularities. They were massive structures made of water ice, which at Pluto's extreme temperatures behaves like solid rock. Vast plains showed subtle signs of movement, as if the surface itself were slowly flowing. Nitrogen ice behaved like glaciers, creeping across the landscape at imperceptible speeds. Methane frost-coated peaks and valleys. Chemical interactions shaped the terrain in ways no one had predicted. And then there was the atmosphere. Pluto's atmosphere, once thought to be thin and insignificant, revealed itself as a layered blue haze extending hundreds of kilometers above the surface. Sunlight scattered through it, creating a glow that made Pluto look unexpectedly alive. The most disturbing question was not what Pluto looked like, but how it managed to look that way. Pluto is small. It should have lost most of its internal heat long ago. There is no obvious energy source powerful enough to drive ongoing geological activity, and yet the evidence was undeniable. Something inside Pluto was still working, still reshaping the surface, still erasing the scars of time. On July 14, 2015, New Horizons reached its closest approach, passing just over 12,000 kilometers above Pluto's surface. For a few brief hours, humanity had the clearest view it would ever have of this distant world. Every image taken during that window felt historic, not just because it was the first, but because it was also the last. The spacecraft could not slow down, it could not turn around. Its trajectory had been calculated years earlier, and there was no flexibility left. As New Horizons sped past Pluto, it continued taking images, but each one was already a farewell glance. Pluto slipped behind it, shrinking rapidly into the darkness. There would be no orbit to study seasonal changes, no long-term monitoring of atmospheric behavior, no chance to return and ask follow-up questions. What we saw in those hours would define Pluto for generations. The questions that arrived too late. As the data slowly streamed back to Earth over the following months, scientists began to realize just how incomplete their understanding had been. Regions of Pluto's surface appeared astonishingly young, perhaps only tens of millions of years old. On cosmic timescales, that is almost yesterday. Models were revised, adjusted, and sometimes abandoned entirely. Some researchers proposed the existence of a subsurface ocean, kept warm by radioactive decay. Others suggested complex interactions between Pluto and its moons. None of these explanations fully satisfied the data. Pluto refused to fit neatly into any category. It was not a simple ice ball. It was not a miniature version of a larger planet. It was something stranger, something that challenged assumptions about what small worlds are capable of. And yet, even as these questions multiplied, New Horizons was already far beyond Pluto, moving deeper into the Kuiper Belt. The mission had been designed around a single encounter, and that decision could not be undone. Humanity had waited nearly a century to see Pluto properly, and when it finally did, it stayed only a few hours. There is a quiet irony in this story. We spent generations arguing about whether Pluto mattered, only to finally discover that it clearly did, and then immediately leave. But the story was not over yet. Beyond Pluto lay a vast region of space filled with ancient remnants from the solar system's formation, objects that had remained largely unchanged for more than 4 billion years. As engineers examined New Horizons' remaining fuel and trajectory, they realized something remarkable. There might be just enough left to attempt one final encounter. Quietly, carefully, the spacecraft was redirected toward a tiny, faint object drifting far beyond Pluto. At the time, few people noticed. The mission had already exceeded expectations. Anything more felt like a bonus. What no one yet realized was that this next encounter would reveal something even more fundamental than Pluto itself. A target almost too small to matter. Beyond Pluto, the solar system changes character. The familiar order of planets gives way to something quieter, colder, and far more ancient. This region, known as the Kuiper Belt, is not filled with dramatic worlds or active geology. It is a graveyard of leftovers, fragments that never became planets, preserved in deep freeze since the solar system's earliest days. For most of modern astronomy, these objects were little more than statistical dots in models, too faint and too distant to study in detail. After the Pluto flyby, New Horizons was expected to simply continue drifting outward, its mission complete. But careful analysis of its remaining fuel revealed a narrow opportunity. If engineers acted precisely, the spacecraft could be redirected toward one more target. This object was not impressive in size or brightness. It was tiny, faint, and unimaginably distant, technical designation that meant little outside the scientific community. Later, it would be named Arrokoth. Expectations were modest. Scientists assumed it would be irregular, battered by collisions, and largely unremarkable. After all, objects in the Kuiper Belt were thought to be shaped primarily by chaos. What New Horizons found would quietly dismantle that assumption. The oldest shape humanity has ever seen. On January 1, 2019, New Horizons flew past Arrokoth at a distance of just a few thousand kilometers. Despite Arrokoth being far smaller than Pluto, the spacecraft passed closer to it than it ever had to the dwarf planet. The encounter itself was over in hours, but the data would take months to fully arrive on Earth. As the first images sharpened, confusion spread among the mission team. Arrokoth did not look like a battered fragment. It did not look broken or violent. Instead, it looked gentle. Two rounded lobes sat side by side, softly joined together like a snowman frozen in space. There were no massive fractures, no signs of catastrophic impact. The surface appeared smooth, ancient, and undisturbed. This shape was deeply unsettling, not because it was strange, but because it was too orderly. According to decades of models, early planetary building blocks formed through violent collisions. Objects smashed together, shattered, and reassembled repeatedly. Arrokoth told a different story. Its shape suggested that it formed slowly, with material drifting together at very low speeds and sticking softly. This was not a product of chaos, it was a product of patience. Arrokoth appeared to be a fossilized moment from the very beginning of the solar system, preserved for more than 4 billion years. In that sense, it was not just an object, it was a memory. Why Arrokoth changed planetary science? Pluto surprised scientists by being active, complex, and geologically young. Arrokoth surprised them by being the opposite. It was quiet, ancient, and untouched. And paradoxically, that made it even more important. Arrokoth represents a stage of planetary formation that no longer exists. It is a direct window into how the building blocks of planets first came together. The fact that it appears to have formed through gentle contact rather than violent collision forces scientists to reconsider long-held assumptions. If Arrokoth formed this way, then perhaps many other early objects did too. Perhaps the early solar system was not the chaotic battlefield it was once imagined to be, but a calmer environment where material slowly accumulated. This has implications far beyond the Kuiper Belt. It affects how scientists think about the formation of Earth itself. The early stages of planetary growth may have been quieter and more orderly than we once believed. Arrokoth's surface further supports this idea. It shows little evidence of change, no major resurfacing, no signs of internal heating. It has remained essentially frozen in time. In a very real sense, Arrokoth is older than Pluto's surface, older than most planetary landscapes we can observe. And yet, just like Pluto, Arrokoth was visited only once. The problem with going back. It is tempting to assume that now that we know how important Pluto and Arrokoth are, humanity will eventually return. But space exploration does not work that way. Missions are constrained by budgets, political priorities, and human attention spans. Pluto is distant, expensive, and inconvenient. It does not orbit in a way that makes frequent visits easy. A return mission would take decades to plan and execute, with no guarantee of approval. Arrokoth, and objects like it, are even less accessible. They are small, faint, and offer no immediate rewards that are easily communicated to the public. There are no current plans to return to either world, no orbiters in development, no landers waiting on the drawing board. The images we already have are not previews of what is to come. They are final records. This reality adds a quiet weight to everything New Horizons captured. These were not reconnaissance images meant to guide future exploration. They were snapshots taken during a brief window of opportunity that has already closed. When New Horizons eventually falls silent, Pluto and Arrokoth will return to being distant points of light, known only through the data already collected. The irony of distance and timing. There is something deeply ironic about how this unfolded. Humanity spent generations debating Pluto's importance, only to finally see it properly once and leave almost immediately. We stumbled upon Arrokoth almost by accident, discovered it held profound clues about planetary origins, and continued onward without the ability to linger. Exploration, in this sense, is not always about conquest or permanence. Sometimes it is about fleeting contact. New Horizons did not conquer Pluto, it brushed past it. It did did not unlock every mystery, it revealed how many mysteries remain. The same is true for Arrokoth. Its shape answered one question,